What's good, everyone? It's the Aggie Coach, man. This is going to be a really quick video. I've been here practicing, and I normally do this at least once a day, between 30 and 45 minutes as time allows. Of course, you know, sometimes life can get in the way, but I was just here having a little fun, doing a little workout, and I just thought I would share something with you guys. This is my passing workout, and this is one of the things I like to do to work on my control of the triple threat passer, to work on my control, my accuracy, and my distance. And this is a great control drill to help you to develop pinpoint accuracy. And I've gotten to a point now where I feel like as soon as the ball leaves my hand, I know if I'm going to hit the target or not. So here the idea is to pass the ball through the passing rings. And so if you want to create your own passing rings, all you need is a bottle cap. You just cut the center out. And there you go. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do this a little bit. I normally start about 7 to 10 yards out. And I progressively work my way back. But I just want to kind of illustrate to you guys how it works. So you put your passer down, aim, and you shoot it through the ring that way. And this way you work on developing control. What I do to work on my control and work on my accuracy. And so having the rings really helps you to work on keeping the triple threat passer leveled, and that way I know if I over and over again replicate the same feeling and get at the same level, then my chances of completing passes more often goes up, rather than letting the ball not really working on having that control and allowing the ball to be directed more towards the ground. And then what happens is your chances go down, because it'll hit the ground and it'll go off in another direction, and you'll incomplete passes trying to hit the bases. So what I do is, when my passer is at a certain angle, I know based on the surface area that I have, if he's at an angle, I have more surface area on the base. Or if my figure, the way he's posed, the way a figure is posed is extremely important. Because if you're trying to hit slants or posts or out routes, that figure typically needs to be posed with his chest open towards the quarterback to give you a broader surface area to hit. Otherwise, you're limited to just hitting the base, and that makes passing very difficult. I'm going to give you guys an example. I'm going to give you a for instance. This is something that I learned when I was playing against the Alabama team. And what I noticed is that when you have a figure like this one, okay, so let's just talk about functionality for just a second, because I want you guys to really get an opportunity to kind of get a chance to see what Fat 8 passing is all about. When you get a figure, and this is more for the Fat 8 style, okay, so keep in mind, guys, that I'm only talking about the Fat 8 in general. When you have a figure like this, and this is from my experience trying to throw a pass, trying to throw a slant, if you look at the surface area of the figure here, and this is why in the Fat 8 poses are so important, the surface area of this figure is much smaller. So your level of control and your level of accuracy needs to be much greater to hit a figure that is relatively smaller. Your only option here, if you can't hit, because of the way the body is curved and the way the body is leaning, it is very difficult for you to get your pass to come in here and hit this figure here, okay, or hit the figure here. So your best option is to aim for the base, because you have a wider surface here to give you a better chance of completing these passes. So when I'm throwing a pass, especially a slant, When I'm throwing a pass to a figure like this, I tend to aim for the wide area of the base because as a novice, I noticed that when I was first learning, this was the easiest way for me to complete the pass was to hit this wider surface here. So passing to these figures is much more difficult. But what we do in the Fat 8, especially with the recruiting, is we make figures who have a bunch of different poses. One of the things that I noticed about the 4th and 1 poses over here is look at the surface area now. You have a wider chest, you have a wide receiver that is more open, that allows you to have a much larger surface, the base, the leg, and the upper torso, which gives you a much better chance of completing this kind of pass when you have more surface area across the whole figure. So a lot of the figures in the Fat 8 are not necessarily about how cool they look, but a lot of them, the majority of them, are all about efficiency, effectiveness. So the idea is to make wide receivers in a dynamic pose, but also think about the role that that receiver is going to be playing in the game. If that receiver is your slant receiver, or if that receiver is your flag receiver, notice that you have all of this range on the back of the receiver to give you more surface area to hit to complete those passes. Whereas if on this one, the surface area is a lot less, so that means that you need to be much more accurate to complete these passes. So in the Fat 8, what we have done is we have assigned receivers on each team. Each receiver has kind of a special route that they run that allows you greater chances of completing passes. So a lot of times when I'm working on this, if I put this receiver in the game, I'm putting him in the game because I want to get him to a specific area on the field, because I know my chances of completing that pass goes up a great deal. And if the opponent doesn't recognize the change in personnel, he's gonna really get hurt. So in the Fat 8, players have a specific role, and it's very important that coaches, especially in our style, recognize the role of each of the athletes on their team. If they don't recognize the importance of those roles, and they don't put those personnel in the game for a specific purpose, then you're gonna find yourself in a lot of trouble when the game starts. So it's all about the selection process, putting the right player in the game at the right time for the right situation, and that is how Fat 8 football is played. So every figure has its purpose. Every figure has its purpose. So when I'm practicing, these are the kinds of things that I keep in mind when I'm shooting at the practice dummies. All right, guys. So in this case, when I have a player like my number 26, this is one of the tutor figures. When I have a player like my number 26, which I have Torian Warren on my Aggies team, he is a strong player in the Aggies passing, because I know exactly what kind of situation I want to put him in order for him to make the catches. I don't just send him up the field and try to hit him. In most cases, I send him out towards the sideline so that he can make the easy catch. So in this way, as I'm here and I want to make that pass over to this guy, boom, right on target, I'm always going to hit him, because I recognize that I work with this figure a lot. I work with the tutor figures a lot, and I found what each figures, especially in passing, where to put that figure on the field in order to optimize the effectiveness of that figure. So he has less surface, so I needed to work on greater control. So I started using 1 and 2 passing rings like this, one here and one here, and I'll put them back to back so that I can really work on having that pinpoint accuracy to go through there and narrowing my surface area to hit harder targets. Because this is a much harder target to hit, it meant that I needed to spend more time. Now with like I was saying, with so with this type of figure from the Alabama team, as you notice here, notice that you have more chest surface. So you have a much wider surface. So if we put these guys side by side, you see what I'm saying? You have a much wider surface on the chest, even on the legs. So, and even on the back end, if he's coming this way, you have, as you can see, he completely covers this model. So you have much more surface, which means that this is the kind of figure that you want going across the middle like this. So you want to try to hit him on the numbers here, or try to hit him on his base. But your chances of having, when you have a figure like this, your chances of getting that hit is much greater because you have a lot more surface area to deal with. So this guy will play a crucial role in your passing, because this can be your every down go-to guy, or this can be your first and third down go-to guy, right? This particular guy right here, this type of figure, I know that because he's much smaller, one of the things that I like about my Torian Warren figure, not this one, but it's an identical figure like this on my Aggies team, is it's very easy for me to get him to come out of a slot and get him to just take a little route, boom, right out here on the side like this. I hit him a quick 5 to 7 yard pass route. He make that catch, and when I turn him up, because he's lighter and the way that I have his base done, he's gonna have that pop. He's gonna have that quick burst of speed. So tacklers that's right up in here, they're gonna be hard pressed even at this range to make that tackle, because he's gonna skate up the field really quickly. And when you're dealing with that kind of thing, if I can take a little guy like this and pick up 7 yards here, 5 yards there with a little guy, you think about it. You make a quick 4 yard pass, and then you make a quick 5 to 6 yard pass. You know, that's a first down right there. Like this, a guy like this tutor figure can be a serious menace on the field if you learn how to put him in the right situation. So Fat 8 football is all about situation. So one of the things that I tried to do, especially when I was designing the rules for the Fat 8, is trying to give character to all of the players. So it's very important that we have as many unique figures on the board as possible, but not necessarily just like random.